Why do highly intelligent Sigma males seem like they're from another planet? They don't follow the rules. They don't chase attention. They don't need approval. And yet they often outperform, outthink, and outlast everyone else in the room. These men walk their own path. But when high intelligence is added to that Sigma mindset, the result is something even more unique and often misunderstood. This video isn't just about what Sigma males are. It's about why the smartest ones behave so differently from the rest of the world. Why they seem distant, unpredictable, or even cold. Why their habits don't match what society expects from successful men, and why that might actually be their biggest strength. Let's break it down and understand the deeper layers behind the brains and behaviors of highly intelligent Sigma males. The psychology behind Sigma behavior. To understand why intelligent Sigma males act differently, we need to look at how their mindset is built. It often starts early in life. Many of them were the kids who didn't fit in. They questioned rules, stayed quiet in crowds, and preferred books over parties. This doesn't mean they were antisocial. It means they were thinking differently, deeper, more inward, and more independently. Psychologically, Sigma males are wired to resist control. They don't naturally follow leaders. They prefer to lead themselves, even if that means walking alone. They find comfort in silence and get clarity from solitude. This self-reliance isn't just a personality quirk, it's part of their identity. Over time, this independent thinking builds strong internal confidence. They don't need people to agree with them to believe in their ideas. They develop emotional self-regulation, meaning they don't rely on others for emotional support or guidance. That's why they often seem calm in stressful situations. They've already done the thinking and processing inside their own heads. They also tend to be highly observant. Sigma males watch the world more than they talk about it. They notice patterns in behavior, power dynamics, and unspoken social rules. But unlike alpha males who use that knowledge to dominate, Sigmas usually step back. They see the game but choose not to play it. Another big part of their psychology is their dislike of authority for authority's sake. They respect competence, not titles. A boss who can't lead won't earn their loyalty. A trend that seems stupid won't get their attention, even if everyone else is chasing it. This mindset often puts them at odds with mainstream society. All of this creates a person who seems mysterious, maybe even hard to approach. But underneath, there's usually a strong, well-built internal world. Intelligent Sigma males know what they value, what they want, and what they won't tolerate. Their psychology is like a fortress, built for protection, clarity, and strength. They're not trying to be different for attention. They are different because their brains and their values lead them there. Intelligence amplifies their difference. Being a Sigma male already means walking a unique path. But when you add high intelligence into the mix, everything changes on a much deeper level. It doesn't just make them smarter, it makes them even harder to understand. Highly intelligent Sigma males think several steps ahead. While most people are reacting to situations, they're already analyzing outcomes. Their minds are constantly running, thinking about systems, patterns, and connections. This can make regular conversation feel boring or pointless to them. They're not trying to be rude, it's just that surface-level talk doesn't hold their attention. They also process information differently. They don't just accept what they're told. They ask, why is this true? What's the logic behind it? Is this the full picture? That habit of questioning everything makes them seem rebellious. But for them, it's not about breaking rules, it's about understanding the truth beneath them. This kind of thinking often makes them feel isolated. They see problems in systems that others blindly follow. They notice flaws in leadership, in groupthink, in popular opinions. And when they speak up, they're usually met with confusion or resistance. So many intelligent Sigmas choose to stay quiet, watch from a distance, and act only when it matters. Their intelligence also affects how they handle emotions. They're very good at separating feelings from facts. While others get swept up in drama, intelligent Sigmas step back and ask, what's really going on here? This can make them seem cold or robotic, but it's actually a strength. They protect their energy by not wasting it on chaos. They also need more time alone than most people, not just because they're introverted, but because their minds are constantly running. Solitude helps them recharge, organize their thoughts, and create new ideas. Being around too many people for too long feels like noise. That's why they often avoid big crowds, office politics, or busy social lives. Another key difference is how they define success. While most people chase money, fame, or approval, intelligent Sigmas look for meaning, purpose, and mastery. They're not impressed by big titles or flashy lifestyles. They're more interested in freedom, growth, and creating something valuable. That mindset often leads them to paths that are less traveled but far more fulfilling. In short, high intelligence makes Sigma males more aware, more analytical, and more inward. It doesn't just set them apart, it pulls them apart from the herd. Not because they want to be better, but because they simply think differently. Social detachment versus emotional depth. One of the biggest misunderstandings about intelligent Sigma males is that they're emotionally cold or antisocial. But the truth is more complex. They're not emotionless, they just connect differently. Sigma males don't thrive in large social circles. They don't feel the need to constantly be around people. This doesn't mean they dislike others. It means they prefer depth over quantity. A few strong, meaningful connections matter more to them than dozens of surface-level friendships. They avoid small talk and empty interactions because those feel fake and tiring. This selective social behavior makes them seem distant. But behind that quiet front, many of them feel things very deeply. They just don't express emotions in obvious ways. Instead of reacting out loud, they reflect inward. They think before they speak. They process their emotions in private, often through journaling, thinking, or creating something. When it comes to relationships, they're very careful. They don't open up easily. Trust has to be earned over time. But once they let someone in, they're loyal and deeply committed. They value honesty, independence, and emotional intelligence. They won't stay in a relationship that feels controlling, shallow, or fake, no matter how normal it looks from the outside. Another reason they seem detached is that they rarely seek approval. They're not trying to impress anyone. They don't need praise to feel good about themselves. That kind of confidence can be intimidating to people who rely on social validation. But to the Sigma, it's just how they function. They also tend to be great listeners. Because they're quiet and observant, they often pick up on things others miss: tone, body language, hidden emotions. But they don't always respond right away. Instead, they take time to process what they've seen and respond thoughtfully, rather than emotionally. So no, they're not cold. They're just selective. They protect their inner world. They value peace over noise. They want real over fake. And because of that, they show up differently in social settings, calm, composed, and often misunderstood. In truth, their emotional depth runs deep. It's just hidden beneath a surface that the world isn't always trained to read. Work, purpose, and drive. Highly intelligent Sigma males don't just think differently, they also work differently. The traditional 9-to-5 job with meetings, office politics, and fixed routines often feels like a trap to them. They don't like being told what to do. They need freedom to think, create, and solve problems their own way. For them, work isn't just about making money. It's about building something that matters. Whether it's starting a business, inventing something new, writing, coding, or designing, they want their work to have purpose. They're drawn to fields where they can think independently and create original ideas. This is why many of them end up as entrepreneurs, artists, inventors, or remote freelancers. Sigma males also hate wasting time. If they're not learning, growing, or producing something valuable, they get frustrated. They can't stand busy work or doing things just because that's how it's always been done. They want logic, reason, and improvement behind every action. That's why they often quit jobs that others might find perfectly acceptable, because to them, being bored is a form of dying. Their motivation comes from within. They don't care about job titles or public recognition. They don't need applause to feel good about their work. Instead, they want to be proud of what they create. That self-driven mindset helps them stay focused even when there's no reward in sight. It also allows them to keep going through failure because they see failure as feedback, not a dead end. At the same time, this intense focus can make it hard for them to work on teams, especially teams that are poorly organized or filled with people who just follow orders. Sigma males want to challenge ideas, improve systems, and push boundaries. They don't do well in environments that punish original thinking. This doesn't mean they're bad teammates. In the right setting, with smart, self-motivated people, they can thrive. But the structure has to make sense. The mission has to be clear, and the freedom to think and move independently has to exist. Otherwise, they'll either burn out or walk away. In short, highly intelligent Sigma males aren't driven by competition or social status. They're driven by meaning. They want their work to reflect who they are, and they'll sacrifice stability, comfort, and even approval to protect that purpose. How society views them. Society doesn't always know what to make of highly intelligent Sigma males. On one hand, they seem successful, confident, and capable. On the other hand, they don't follow the usual script. They don't chase popularity. They don't play by group rules, and they don't care about fitting in. That makes them hard to label and easy to misunderstand. Many people assume that someone who keeps to themselves is antisocial or arrogant. But in the case of a Sigma male, it's usually the opposite. They stay quiet because they don't like shallow talk or loud environments. They avoid crowds because they value peace and clarity. They're not being rude. They're just protecting their energy. Some also see their emotional control as coldness. In a world that often values loud emotions, their calm can be mistaken for indifference. But that's just their way of staying balanced. They feel deeply, they just don't show it the way others expect. This misunderstanding can lead to labels: weird, distant, too intense, or even difficult. In group settings, they might be seen as outliers or troublemakers, especially if they question bad ideas or challenge weak leadership. But Sigma males don't challenge people for fun. They do it because they care about truth, logic, and progress. In media and pop culture, Sigma-like characters are often portrayed as loners, rebels, or misunderstood geniuses. Think of the quiet detective, the hacker, or the lone inventor who solves problems nobody else can. These characters reflect how society both fears and admires people who stand apart. The truth is, Sigma males often make people uncomfortable, not because they're doing anything wrong, but because they break the usual social rules. They don't fake smiles, they don't chase attention, and they don't agree just to keep the peace. But the same traits that make them hard to understand are also the ones that help them succeed in unique ways. Their deep focus, emotional control, and self-reliance allow them to create, lead, and think beyond the box. So while society may not always get them, that's okay. Sigma males aren't here to be understood by everyone. They're here to be themselves. Are they misfits or visionaries? Throughout history, many of the world's greatest thinkers, creators, and leaders didn't fit in. They were different, misunderstood, often alone. But they had something in common with today's highly intelligent Sigma males. They saw the world differently and weren't afraid to break away from the crowd. Think of people like Nikola Tesla. He was a genius inventor who worked alone, often misunderstood by his peers. He didn't care about fame or fortune, he cared about ideas. Or Steve Jobs, who dropped out of college, rejected traditional leadership styles, and built Apple by following his own instincts. He wasn't always easy to work with, but he changed the world. These men weren't normal, and that's the point. Being a Sigma male with high intelligence often means standing on the edge, outside the system, watching from a distance, and only stepping in when there's something worth doing. This kind of position can feel lonely, but it also creates room for unique insight. They see patterns others miss, they ask questions others ignore, and they take risks others are too scared to try. But the line between misfit and visionary is thin. It depends on how the world views them, and how they use their gifts. Some fall into isolation, unable to connect or explain their ideas. Others rise above, using their difference as fuel to build something new. What makes the difference is not just intelligence, but purpose. The truth is, being different is hard. The world pushes people to fit in, to follow rules, to blend with the group. But Sigma males were never built for that. Especially not the ones with sharp minds and strong values. Their gift is not just that they think deeply, but that they act independently. They don't just see problems, they try to solve them, even when no one else understands. So are they misfits? Maybe. But more often, they're visionaries in disguise, quiet leaders, builders of things that don't exist yet, thinkers who shape the future from the shadows. The world may not always see them clearly, but history tends to remember them well. Highly intelligent Sigma males don't act different just to stand out. They act different because they are different. Their minds are sharp, their values are strong, and their path is rarely traveled. They may not fit the world's mold, but they often shape the world from the edges. Their strength lies in being true to themselves, even when it's hard, even when it's lonely. And maybe that's what makes them powerful. Not just their intelligence, but their courage to walk alone. So if you ever feel like the odd one out, maybe you're just a Sigma in the making.